Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Freedom First podcast. Thank you so much for continuing to tune in and support what we're doing and, help us get the amazing guests we continue to get on each week. This week, we have another amazing guest. He is a Navy SEAL and the founder of Sunga Life Swimwear. He was a part of SEAL Team 5 where he deployed to Fallujah, Iraq, was selected for the Navy SEAL breacher and sniper schools, and worked with the Secret Service. In 2015, he began his transition out of the Navy by participating in the Honor Foundation's 120 hours of executive education. The program inspired him to launch his own swimwear line, partnering with two-time ESPY award-winning adaptive athlete Kyle Maynard, called Sunga Life. The company is focused on achieving double bottom-line goals of purpose and profitability, where 10% of the profits go to veteran charities, specifically those that benefit wounded and amputee special operations forces. Jeff transitioned out of the Navy in June of 2017, traveled the world for a year, and received his master's degree from the UCLA Anderson School of Management, with a focus on entrepreneurship. What a great conversation we had with this young guy, so accomplished at such a young age, going through, Navy SEAL training, being a Navy SEAL, and now starting his own very successful company called Sunga Life. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Jeff Gum. All right, there we go. Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate you joining, taking the time to be with us today. On the Freedom First podcast, we have a little segment called the Freedom Minute, just some rapid fire questions to kind of get us fired up and get us into the conversation today. So the first question, the podcast is called the Freedom First podcast, and I know obviously, you're a man of service, serving in the Navy SEALs, and also everything else you do with Sunga Life, it's all directed around that word freedom and something bigger than our individual self. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with the first question. What does freedom mean to you?
Yeah, it's your right to do whatever you want as long as you're not holding back anyone else's freedom at the same time.
I like it. And second question, you have to sing karaoke. What song do you pick?
Uh, oh, I don't even know. Um, I have a lot of great talents and singing isn't one of them, but I jump in and sing with anyone, especially if I got someone else up there with me. It's good.
Is there
Maybe Danger Zone. I don't know.
okay, there you go. Yeah, do you is there like a certain I guess era of music you kind of focus and you listen to your favorite 90s or like what?
Yeah, I mean, I like 80s rock a lot. So I like a lot of different country concerts are really fun.
Oh
I like
yeah.
Rufus Du Sol a lot too. That's kind of good for, anything. Some electronic can be fun. Um, I like most stuff, I'd say.
Yeah. Hey, country concerts are the best. I like
Yeah,
people
definitely.
that don't like country concerts, the first time you take them, they get
Yes,
hooked
exactly. They become
every time.
fans for sure. It's all about America, rocking that red, white, and blue, hot chicks walking around Daisy Dukes. Who doesn't like that?
Yeah. Have you ever been to Stagecoach?
I have, yeah, had a epic time there with a bunch of my SEAL buddies, and then I did Tortuga. Have you heard of that?
Uh-uh.
No, so I did Tortuga last month. I went with my cousins, and it was a big country concert. But then they had Pitbull as well, because Pitbull, a lot of people don't necessarily know, but he's a huge patriot as well, and
Yeah.
had a blast at that one.
Yeah, Pitbull, he's very very vocal on like Cuba, I know, and
Yep,
fighting for the freedom and rights of the Cubans. So that's really
totally.
cool.
And it was right on the beach and everything too, and a lot of people all pulled up in boats and yachts and everything and they were able to watch it from there. And yeah,
Nice.
it was
What a
just
cool venue.
yeah, it was so good.
Next question. Obviously, you're involved in jiu-jitsu and all UFC. I see fights and different things like that. So if you were in the UFC, what would be your walkout song?
Oh damn. Hmm. Let me see. Maybe Bad to the Bone.
There you go. There you
Yeah.
go. I think mine would probably be maybe a Tom Petty, like what's it called? I Won't Back Down. I think that
Yep,
would be
that's
a
a good
solid
one.
one.
You know, a good one I always liked was that one Eminem song. Um, it's like well, it was one of my favorite Muay Thai clips with Ramon Deckers. It was in that one. I'm blanking on the song right now. It was so good though. It just fires me up every time I hear it.
Yeah. Next
But
question. Obviously, we all have these different moments in our life, whether it's in our childhood or sometimes even in adulthood, right? Um, what's the most embarrassing moment in your life, whether it was in childhood or in the SEAL teams or in business or maybe in just your social life? You have a moment that sticks out to you?
embarrassing. Hmm. Embarrassing. Let me see. I don't know. It's really hard to embarrass me. I kind of think even if something embarrassing happens, I think it's hysterical usually.
Yeah,
Hmm.
especially when you can laugh at yourself,
Yeah, you gotta have that
that sense of
self-deprecating
humor.
humor, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
But I've had a lot of things. Let me see. Most embarrassing. Um, hmm.
or most I guess scary or frightening moment too. We could throw into that if you have one of those.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of how you frame. So I got asked to be the lead in a school play with like 2 hours notice because the lead didn't come to school. I
Oh,
guess they
wow.
got scared and they're like, all right, you got 2 hours to like learn this, or you can bring the script on stage or whatever. And I was like, I'm not bringing the script, but I'll just study. I just studied real hard for 2 hours and then kind of took the script and like would just like take it out and put it on props throughout the stage, and then when other people would be talking I'd be like looking down kind of getting my bearings on what I'd be saying, and just went with it, and had a blast. It was a lot of fun, but I mean definitely a little scary because I didn't really prepare much at all for it, and I
Right.
was getting up in front of the whole school when I was I guess a junior, but yeah,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was good.
It's always scary. Just like public speaking is like the number one fear in the world of like human beings, right? And I feel like even experienced people still get nervous speaking in front of people, and especially when it's your friends and people you know. Like that's definitely nerve wracking, to say
Yeah,
the least.
actually, I have a good one now. So it was I was a new guy at my in my platoon, and we had just gone to Utah, and we were doing winter warfare training, and we were getting towards the end of it, and we had a field training exercise that we were about to do, and they're like, oh, we got a section for you to basically pitch up there and stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, we made made a slide for you, and kind of I looked at the slide and went through it, but then when I got it, other people go through, they pitch their parts and everything, and you get to my part, and the junior officer that put the thing together had forgotten to put my pitch in there, and he's like, it's all these like different things you got to kind of talk about with the weather. And I get to my part,
Right.
and I'm like, and the weather, and there's just nothing there for me to like, to go off of. I didn't have it memorized because you didn't need to,
Right.
because all the information was supposed to be on the slide. And then my own friend, good friend now, Kevin Kent, he's like, "There's gonna be weather," and everyone's just laughing. And then I'm just like, I didn't know what to say. I'm just like, "Oh
Yeah.
well, I." And then they went on, and then they all thought I was like really nervous and just forgot it. I'm like, "No, there was no information on the slide. I don't even know." It was pretty funny. I guess that was
You got
embarrassing, but
got through out there.
the
So
last
so
thing
do
you want
you
to happen as a new guy.
Oh, I know. I can only imagine. So do you when like you obviously you see like the movies and stuff like that, and there's a lot of stuff obviously that's not accurate and stuff like that. But do you have to get up in front, like as a new guy, do you have to get up in front of the your SEAL team and like present the Navy SEAL creed and all that stuff word for word, or is that kind of a
Yep, I had a friend who would do the frogman toast a lot. we're all kind of supposed to learn it. I mean, you have so much going on though. I
Right.
don't think I really learned it completely. I loved it. I just, yeah, didn't really quite learn it all. But yeah.
So a couple more questions right here. What was the worst job you ever had and the best job you ever had?
Let's see. Hmm. I've had a lot of really good jobs. They were all they were all from the time my first job was like being a soccer ref. That was, and I got paid like 20 to 25 bucks a game at like 14 years old. So
Oh wow.
that was pretty fun. And I'm, you know, running around refing these kids, whether it's under 9, under 11, under 13, under 15. That was pretty epic first job, you know. And then college was a pretty great job too. I was bartending at 19 years old and would just get my fraternity to all go to the bar I was bartending at, and it
At
was,
19?
yeah, at 19 in Florida. You
Yeah,
know, Florida's all about freedom, and
yeah, yeah.
they'd say like 18 to dance, 21 to party, and everyone could go in there. They would just put X's on stuff, and people would just basically wash their hands and take it off. And I'd be I'd be bartending at 19. It was fun serving all my friends. It was yeah, really good times. All the sorority girls, you know. So
Yeah,
um,
that's
worst
cool.
job. Really, none of my jobs were that bad. I I lifeguarded. That was another one of my first jobs, and that was definitely, you know, a bit way more boring than I expected. I literally just sat there and like watched people swim, and I'm like, yeah, got a little
Like also,
suntan and
like
everything.
all SEALs like former lifeguards. There's a lot of
I
them.
don't know, but yeah, it was definitely not as fun as I had hoped. I only did it for a couple months in the summer, and then I was completely over it.
Yeah. Last question. And this is one we kind of ask every guest. If you could sit down and have a conversation with anyone throughout the history of the world, dead or alive, who would it be and why? It could be anyone.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Marcus Aurelius was a really wise man and ruler, and definitely had no idea that all his like notes that he would just write for himself would be put into this book that is like the foundation of stoicism and philosophy and everything. So it'd be really interesting, you know, hearing you know, just speaking to the wise man himself and everything, and who was like kind of one of the biggest, yeah, you know, Roman emperor at the time. So
Yeah, just a great
that would be
philosopher,
really
right?
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, like his book Meditations. It's
Yep. Yeah.
amazing to say the least, and just
Mm-hmm.
I think just to be able to just ask him questions, pick his brain, and like the transition right throughout his life and until his death, like
Mm-hmm.
the things you could learn from that guy, and luckily we've been able to put that into a book, and it's been passed on, like you said, so
Yeah. And
really
he had
cool,
no idea. He just wrote it all for himself. And then
right,
one of the most, yeah, probably impactful books ever written. Yeah.
right,
And it wasn't
yeah.
intended to be. That's the cool part about it.
Do you have a book? This is a question I kind of ask sometimes. Like I always go back to leaders are readers, right? And do you have a book that had like a huge impact on you, or like the biggest impact on you?
Yeah, there's a couple for sure in different ways. I really like Viktor Frankl's A Man's Search for Meaning,
Oh, that's a
and
good one.
that's an incredible one where, you know, he's literally being basically tortured in a concentration camp and is able to find, you know, even meaning throughout all these experiences. And then Tim Ferriss's like 40-hour work week, and how I, you know, even when I made my company, launched it in 2016, it was, um, or no, it's 4 hour work week. What am I saying? That, but
Yeah, yeah,
you know, I set it up to be kind of very efficient, be able to do it remotely wherever I'm at, take advantage of if I'm on an awesome trip or I get invited to all these things. I didn't want a job to hold me back from doing a trip, even if I definitely work way more than four hours a week, but
Right.
to have freedom at the same time. And and so it was, when everything went remote and people weren't able to go to work during the pandemic and all that, then it was my company kind of exploded during that time when e-commerce took off, and it was because of, like, the principles I had put into my company, and the way had launched it. I didn't, set up an office with huge overhead or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a blessing of, right? Like, obviously, everything that's happened over the pandemic, and whatever your thoughts are about it, but you've seen a lot of companies like yourself, you just talked about, that have kind of eliminated that overhead and seen like, oh well, we could operate without the overhead on digitally online. And like you, I mean, you're always traveling, whether you're in Florida or at UFC fights or events, all these different things, right? And you're and you're promoting your company while you're doing all that though too. I always see, like you have all these people, these different ambassadors of the company that are out promoting it while you are as well. So that's just a really cool dynamic to be able to see, and just that kind of team aspect. So I've really
Yeah,
seen that kind of progress.
I get all these kind of unique, invitations and experiences, and wanted to be able to leverage that to make my company more successful, and not have the fact I'm going on a trip, or getting invited to a charity event or whatever, make my company less successful. I wanted to make it more successful and be something I can market and use, like, the success of my company to um, support these foundations and everything.
Yeah, you were at the Jake Paul fight the other day, weren't you?
Yes, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that was good.
Oh,
My friend Antonio is good friends with the president of Showtime Boxing, and he kind of had
okay.
helped set stuff up before with the fight with Logan and Floyd back in Miami. And we were supposed to go to this fight, but then he ended up getting COVID last second, so I was still able to go, though. I'm super immune to COVID, but
Yeah, same
um,
same here. Yeah, that's cool. That was crazy. I was watching that fight, and man, he like, because he had said after, or Jake Paul had said after the fight, like I seen him what he was doing, and if right before he landed that right hand, you kind of see him. He kind of fakes. I think he faked that jab or that punch, and
yeah,
he
he had been
follows
kind
up
of
with that right
setting him up
hand.
with the 1-2, like a straight right, and then
Right.
had him kind of flinching to that. He had seen him doing it before, and then he came with the big right hook right after and just caught him perfect. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was brutal.
Yeah, put him out cold. I mean, yeah, whatever people say about him. I mean, the kid's passionate about it, and man, he's got power. So, and he's
Definitely.
still
I
he's still a
actually,
raw boxer.
yeah, actually, I trained him at his house. It was probably like 3 years ago or something. I went with my friend AJ, who's a pro fighter, and we were hanging out with him. And he was just about to do his start training for his first fight against another YouTuber, and he didn't even want to box the guy. He wanted to fight the guy in MMA because Jake was a wrestler and didn't have any boxing training at the
Right.
time. And I was teaching him some Muay Thai and stuff, and then but then the YouTuber wouldn't fight him in MMA. So then he started training boxing. I think he still knocked him out or something. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. He's got a powerful right hand. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
definitely.
Well, I'm
Definitely.
interested to see who fights next. I seen like Masvidal's kind of come up in the picture, and then Anderson Silva. That's kind of the one I would want to see, him and
Either of
Anderson
them
Silva,
would
because
be a big step up in boxing. Yeah, Anderson, he just knocked out um, Tito in a brutal KO.
yeah. Yeah, Anderson's actually looked pretty good in the in
Oh,
the in
he's
the
got
boxing
great
ring.
boxing. He's got great
Yeah,
boxing. And I think
yeah,
he's like 45 plus or something too.
yeah.
But
I know it's crazy. You got these different champions. What's his name in the what's the name that just won the title? Was that 205? The Brazilian, like
At two.
40.
Oh yeah.
I just blanked out.
Glover
Yeah,
Texera.
yeah, yeah,
Yep.
Glover.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well,
Yep.
he's in mid 40s. Just won a title, man. That was really
Yep.
cool to see.
Yeah.
And
And yeah, Henderson had done that. Dan Henderson had done that
yeah,
before. And
right.
Randy Couture. Randy Couture is actually a good buddy of mine now too. We're doing some
Oh
diving
yeah,
together, like saving the coral reef and stuff with the Force Blue
yeah,
team. But
yeah.
yeah,
How's
he's
the I see you and Kaj and all these guys out there on the Force
yep.
Blue team. How's that been going?
Been incredible. I love it. Had like a serious summer. It was like the summer of Force Blue, just going all around Florida. Went to Destin, Tampa, Anne Marie Island, Fort Lauderdale, Jupiter. Spent 10 days in Key West doing a sea turtle mission, saving all these sea turtles down there. Captured and tagged like 50 plus turtles, and a lot of them had fibropapilloma virus. Was it FPV? And some of them are so sick they can't feed themselves, they can't eat anymore, they can't even mate. And so we take them to the Turtle Hospital, Florida Marathon Hospital, and kind of partnered with these scientists and surgeons who then do a like laser surgery and remove all the tumors from their body and everything, and then rehabilitate them and reintroduce them back into the wild about 6 to 9 months later. And so that was really cool being able to help them. And our kids could potentially see, and I mean grandkids, great grandkids could potentially see these turtles in 100 years still alive. So pretty powerful.
What's causing some of those diseases and stuff in the turtles?
It's something they've had for most likely millions of years that is just kind of natural, but it it is much more prevalent in areas where there's like polluted waters and like bad runoff. It can be kind of sewage or um, pesticides runoff that goes into the water. And then when the turtles are juveniles and they're close to land and they're exposed to those polluted waters, then their immune system gets weakened, and then it's basically a herpes virus that these turtles have. So when their immune system, it just can like take over their whole body, and they can have tumors like coming out of their eyes, and they can't see anything, all over giant out of their legs, and they can't hardly swim. So they laser them and take everything off, and then hopefully they're able to they actually have turtles as well that are just like swimming around, and they draw blood from them, and they do blood transfusions into the like sick turtles, so then it will bring their immune system back, and they're able to get healthier, get reintroduced, and then as they grow older they go further out, and they don't typically have the FPV anymore.
Oh, that's really cool. I've been kind of following you guys, some of you guys. There's a lot of SEALs that are a lot of SEALs and different military, people that are involved in that. So that's really cool to
Yeah, it's
see.
awesome. We got guys from all the different special operations branches, pararescuemen, combat controllers, special forces, Army Delta, Recon Marines, all coming together, working, and the guys are just like the best guys. Everyone's, it's like a brotherhood of us, being able to continue to serve through that. And then I get everybody dressed in Sunga Life, have some custom Force
Yeah,
Blue apparel that we all wear while we're saving the coral reef or saving sea turtles and everything. So it's really cool.
yeah, I appreciate it. So let's jump back into where did you grow up? Like what was your childhood like? Before going to the military, all that. But so how did you grow up? Where'd you grow up, and what was that whole dynamic like?
Yeah, so I'm back home in Pennsylvania right now, where I grew up, and I lived here full time till I was 18 and graduated high school. Um, I was raised on a dairy farm actually, and it was a really cool place to grow up. I had like 100 plus cows and 5 golden retrievers. My mom bred the Goldens, and they were amazing. Still love Goldens. My sister has one named Summit now, and had a pony named Rocky. He was like my best friend. And then I would play sports with my dad and the other farm workers. If it was soccer season, we'd all be playing soccer. If it was baseball, we'd be doing that. If it was basketball, we kind of built a little basketball court right by the farm and everything. And then my aunt Jenny, she had a barn just a mile down the road that she didn't use, and my dad and mom turned it into a big gym and had a trampoline, had a basketball court in there, tons of gymnastic equipment. They had two ropes that went like 50 feet up to the ceiling, and I would always race my dad
Oh,
climbing the
nice.
rope and everything. And I think doing all that stuff kind of helped make me pretty strong and helped me, in the beginning of my like athletic careers and everything, just in, elementary and middle school, and then got me into was the beginning for getting me into weightlifting and all that. My father, he was killed in a car accident though when I was 8 years old. He was picking up farm equipment, so that was definitely, something really tough for myself and my mom and my sister and brother. And but my mom, she remarried a few years later to an amazing guy, Denny, my stepfather, and so I still played like a lot of sports and everything with him. And then did in high school I did soccer, basketball, track, cross country, kicked for the football team, and then I was on a powerlifting team, and even set like a was like still have the records for my high school and everything there for like the squat, the
Nice.
deadlift, and the like total. Uh, because I was like really tall for my weight. I never got the bench record, but I was like 6'1" and 165 pounds, and like squatted 500 and just missed
Oh,
deadlifting 500, and
damn.
still ran like a close to a 5 minute mile and everything. And then I was like treasurer for student government and went to all these different camps. Was the lead in the school play. Kind of mentioned the one, but then I was like Dracula my senior year too, and it was awesome, great place, grow up there. And then, but I was wanted a new challenge. I was checking out different. Actually, I wanted to be. I realized I a big setback my sophomore year of high school. I tore my ACL playing basketball, and I was just like stuck in a brace, and I just like couldn't do anything. And I used to, lifting 2 hours every day and also playing my sports, and all of a sudden I can't do anything. And I'm like, all right, I need the biggest challenge in my life to be fulfilled. I'm like, what's the biggest challenge? And I was like, oh, be a Navy SEAL. So I started researching that. I got healthy. That's when I got really into powerlifting as well, and it kind of helped bring my atrophied leg muscles back. And then it was maybe a year and a half later, beginning of my senior year, that 9/11 happened, and it just reaffirmed it like 100-fold. It was like, okay, I want to go be a SEAL to help make sure this never happens. Not just to, be a badass and learn how to shoot and blow stuff up and all these really cool things, but to go like hunt the most evil people in the world. And so but then as I was like, all right, checking out, yeah, I was also the only um, I was the only athlete that took all advanced classes, so I kind of felt like it would be a mistake to not go to college too. And I knew I could always have my degree to fall back on. And so I started checking out different things. I was like, oh, Naval Academy, maybe that would be the best route. But then I found out about ROTC, and I was like, oh, I could go to like a normal college and do the same thing. And as I was like researching colleges, I saw University of Florida had a like Naval Special Warfare Club, and I was like, oh, that college in Florida would be awesome. And so I applied there in Miami, and I got in. And then I talked to my cousins who had grown up in Florida, and they lived in Orlando, and I'm like, oh, I want to come check out UF and UM, and they're like, oh, apply to UCF. We're in Orlando. You should be close to family. And I hadn't really, heard of UCF at the time. It's kind of gotten pretty big now. It's
Yeah.
biggest college in the country, and done really well in football the last few years. But I went and visited the campus with my cousin, and it was just unbelievable. And it was like expanding so much. It was getting more money from the state of Florida than every other school in Florida combined, more than FSU, UF, USF, everything. And it was just growing. Now they have all this like unbelievable on-campus stadium and basically a mall on campus and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go here. It makes sense. Be close to my family. They were entrepreneurs too, and I got to kind of see them growing their businesses and everything. Now my cousin, Lou, who I had lived with for 6 months in the beginning of school, he founded the company Echelon Fitness, which is like a competitor to Peloton. Just really blowing up. They got Pitbull as an investor with them too, and he has his own channel. But so then yeah, went to school there. I was in, but they didn't have Navy ROTC, so I did the Army ROTC. I didn't really think there was probably much of a difference. And when I talked to recruiters, they were like, "Oh yeah, all the special forces and special ops are the same." And I was like, "Okay, I mean, makes I guess that makes sense." But after my freshman year at airborne school, all my best friends there had just graduated SEAL training, and they all had like longer hair and sideburns, and they didn't march, and they weren't like saying yes or no sir in like every sentence to everyone.
Yeah.
So I was like, and they lived in San Diego at the beach, and they were, had just done, they were in SEAL training. I was like, you know what, I think I fit in better with these guys. And they all advised me to go in enlisted. Don't go officer, because then you can be a sniper, you can be a breacher, you can be a heavy machine gunner, you can do all the really cool parts of being a SEAL, and you can go in right away. Whereas if you go to OCS, it can take like a year to 2 years to get picked up. And so I was like, oh, this all sounds kind of perfect for me. I want to be a sniper and machine gunner and all this stuff. So after college, I kind of got out of ROTC, and after college, I went in, enlisted in the Navy, and then went to SEAL training and everything.
So, like, obviously, you were involved in like everything growing up, right? Through high
Yeah.
school, you were playing all these
Yep.
sports and all these things, and then, you go into college. So, what was that? What was that aspect? Did you were you, were you just motivated? Did your parents kind of instill that? Your mom instill that into you at an early age to kind of stay involved in everything, or what was that kind of drive? Because I mean, there's kind of different types of kids. Some kids aren't involved in anything, and then you got kids like yourself
Yeah.
that are involved in everything. So what
Yeah.
was that kind of dynamic there?
I think it was definitely a little of both. I she put me in summer camps right away, put me into soccer, basketball, baseball. I but I wanted to do everything at the same time.
Right.
And then I wanted to, and when I was in sixth, maybe even younger, maybe even like fifth grade, I started going to the YMCA and doing a weightlifting program there, like 2 days a week. And I literally wanted to do everything. She, and I, yeah, thinking about it, my mom kind of did everything too. She was in swimming, she was in, um, skiing, gymnastics, basketball, played college volleyball and college swimming. And yeah, so I think it just kind of it was definitely both, and I still kind of do everything as well. I have
Yeah.
trouble saying no. I get invited to stuff, and I'm like, that's why I had to set my company up to be able to, be able to go do it no matter where I'm at. All I need is my laptop. I just have a fulfillment warehouse that I use, Industry Threadworks, and so yeah, I literally just wanted to do everything all the time, and wanted to always challenge myself, whether it was being I was like the only athlete in the advanced classes, and then leading the school play, and wanted to break all the records and weightlifting, and yeah, do all the sports, and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and then so you kind of mentioned obviously like 9/11. You were a senior in high school, right?
Yeah.
When 9/11 happened.
Yep.
So that was a huge kind of pivotal point for you. Was that the main kind of reason that kind of caught your eye to going in the military and serving your country, or did you have any like family members that had served previously, or is that kind of was that the pivotal moment?
Well, I wanted to do it anyway, originally for the challenge, and also so I would get all this training. I was always drawn to martial arts too, and I hadn't really done it at that time yet. It was something that I had wanted to do, but in like small town Pennsylvania. There wasn't jiu-jitsu schools yet. Um, there wasn't really, much martial arts. I did all ball sports at the time, but I wanted to make sure that I wanted to have all these skills that if anyone ever attacked my family or friends or even people I didn't know, that I would be able to protect them. And then after 9/11, I was like, okay, not just for these reasons to like protect my family and friends and people I love and to get all this really cool training and adventure anyway, that I would I would I would be able to go hunt these terrorists and everything. And then that was like the main goal after.
So go into you go into the Navy and you go into SEAL training. So what was that dynamic like? Like everyone's kind of got a different experience going into SEAL training, going into buds. Initially going into the training, how was it for you? Because you kind of listen to all these guys, whether it's the Marcus Luttrells or whatever, and they kind of talk about going through buds, going through Hell Week, and just getting to it's very mental, right? Getting to breakfast, getting to lunch, and just the mental aspect of it. So how was it for you?
Well, it's funny. They say be careful what you wish for. And the initial reason I wanted to go to Buds and everything was for the challenge. And so I got that, 100-fold of what I was asking for because everything was going great. I I was in class 270. I never failed a single evolution. And then I get to Friday before Hell Week, and then I get viral gastroenteritis, and I just start throwing up nonstop. And I drink water. I'm like so thirsty. I just drink water, throw up, drink water, throw up. And I go to medical and they give me IVs, and they miss my vein like multiple times. And then I'm able to finally get it in, and then I have these. Yeah, I'm able to. I finally start getting better. I get some IVs. I'm able to start eating like Saturday night a bit, and I start Hell Week on Sunday. And then from first like maybe day and a half went great, but then from being super dehydrated, then like getting hypothermia a bit, you fight through it. It wasn't that bad, but just all those things, and then it led to me getting rhabdomyolysis. So on Tuesday, my body basically started shutting down. My muscles broke down so much from being so dehydrated and having all this extreme exertion and then hypothermia that my blood got like overtaken with muscle waste and became toxic. So then, and it had never been diagnosed before because anyone who gets it, they become so weak physically that they would all quit. And so I start just like falling out on the runs, falling out under the boats. Even the log PT, I can barely hold the log up, and I'm still doing everything, but I'm like just really extremely weak. And there was like 37 people left, and they end up performance dropping me an hour from Wednesday, and 36 people made it through. Everyone else after me made it through, and I was like so devastated. I'm like, something's wrong. I need to, figure out what's wrong with me. I'm like, I think I had SIPE, which is swimmer-induced pulmonary edema, because I could hardly breathe too when I'd be like running up stuff. And they did like a test, and my pulse ox was still okay. And then I started calling all the SEALs I knew, telling them what happened, and they kind of called in and vouched for me when everyone else went. And basically, we're going over to, it's called XDiv, and it's where like all the quitters go, or people who are like dropped. I refused to put on like it was called the utility uniform at the time, and I looked at it as a quitter uniform. It's what we all like wore in boot camp as well. And I just wore my dress blues because I'm like, I'm never putting on that quitter uniform. And I went in, I'm like, hey, I'm 23. I have a college degree. I never failed anything. All these people who failed every single run or every single swim or every single O course, they get a chance to start all over. I just got sick. You can talk to all the doctors. I had VGE before Hell Week. And then because I was so sick, I guess that's what happened to me. My body just like stopped working in Hell Week. I don't know what it is. I just want to start all the way over. You can literally take my pay away. You can take away the bonus I'm going to get at the end of training. Just start paying me again once I make it through. And they're like, damn, you're the first person to ever walk in here and want to do this again after being dropped like this. We're going to call in. And then he talked to other instructors, and they didn't, when you're doing well, they don't notice you as much. But when you're the person that's
Right.
like dying the last day, then they're all like, no, he doesn't deserve another chance. And but then these other SEALs had kind of called in and vouched for me, and I I ended up going in, having another meeting with some of the chiefs, and then my chick got routed up, and I started over again, and now I go into the next class, so 271, and I just start failing every single evolution there is, and I'm like, what the heck is happening to me? This was like kind of borderline easy compared to before, the runs
Right.
and the swims. I didn't fail anything. Now I literally cannot pass anything. Something is wrong with my body. What is going on? And then I come in, I get the weekend off. I come back, and then I come across the finish line like 6 minutes behind everyone else. I'm like, what's going on? And then I'm like, all right, I need to go to medical. And I go there, and they draw my blood, and my blood like comes back toxic. So they're like, oh, you got this thing like rhabdo. And so then I start all the way over again. And but I was able to go home. I got medical leave. I got healthy. It only gets better if you get like rest and hydration. So then I came back, and I was on light duty for a little bit after having that, and all of a sudden like everything feels great. Everything is like, flushed out of my system, and then I'm all of a sudden I'm just like strong as hell again. And I was so used to my body not like working before, and now all of a sudden I know I've already done everything, and I'm used to even doing it with my body hardly functioning. So now all of a sudden it's like, and it goes from like winter to summer as well. And so now things are warmer, and they would run us in the summer. They run you more with the boats. In the winter, they have you spend more time in the water just freezing. And uh and so we'd be getting surf tortured, and I was used to these winter surf tortures, and I'm like, not one shiver. Don't even let them see you shiver. And it was just like a whole nother level of like mental toughness at that point, from doing it like back to back to back. And uh and then we were just winning these races, getting breaks. So then you just continue to win. I remember, and like, so when I had gone back before I did my last class, they didn't make me do indoc again with other white shirts, other people who had done indoc. They put us with the brown shirt rollbacks, who were people that had made it through Hell Week but were waiting class up with the next class. And Ty Woods, who's that he was a hero of Benghazi that the movie 13 Hours is based
Yeah.
off of. He was my main instructor for all that. So doing all this training with him every day, and I just got strong as hell. And then I just literally crushed everything after that. I'd be in Hell Week, and I'm just making jokes and laughing, and it was just like the best feeling. I remember Tuesday, after doing something that had like crushed me, where you do base tour and you used to run all night around base with this boat on your head, and it had crushed me. My legs had just, from the rhabdo and everything, my legs were just cramping so bad. The type of cramps where people get, carried off the football field for,
Right.
are is like I'm like staying under the boat and like doing everything I can to, I'm like running through these cramps with a boat on my head. And I think that's what like really gave me the rhabdo and stuff, like running through these cramps and doing everything I could to stay under it until I couldn't anymore. Um, but um, but yeah, I got what I wanted, and I got back in, and then still made it. And this thing I thought was, the most horrible thing to happen to me, being performance dropped, having my dreams ripped away, ended up being like the biggest life lesson for me, that no matter like how bad things get, there's never quit. There's always a solution. Part of the SEAL Creed says, I am never out of the fight. And I just kept saying that, whether I would think about, my grandpa fighting. I don't know if I mentioned, so I want to do it anyway, but my grandpa, I would think about him a lot. He was a sniper in the Marines in the Korean War, and he had two Purple Hearts. He had been shot in the chest, and he had been had a like shrapnel go through his throat as well, and he just like patched it up and kept fighting and everything, and
Wow.
and so I would think about him a lot. He was, one of the only guys in his unit that lived and came back, and randomly his second lieutenant had two Purple Hearts as well. Ended up being a general, Charlie Cooper, but Charlie Cooper's grandson ended up being at the same SEAL team as me as well, and so
Oh,
that's
really?
pretty random and
That's
crazy
cool.
that his grandpa, I mean, my grandpa's um, like officer was him, and then he was in a different platoon, but he was an officer at my SEAL team, and his grandson, and he was a like a Rhodes Scholar, and at the Naval Academy, then went to Oxford, then ended up going to Team Six and stuff too. But yeah, pretty cool and crazy stuff there. But I definitely
Yeah.
got that challenge I was looking for, and it was like the best lesson for every other challenge in my life.
So you graduated from SEAL training. What team do you go to, and what's your, what is that kind of process into your first deployment?
Yeah, so you go through SEAL training. So that was, we just got to like Hell Week there. Then you still have basically over a year of training left still. Um, but then yeah, graduated and went to SEAL Team 5, and had a bunch of guys that I had gone through training with that got to the team, ended up being in my platoon. And so then we do like a workup. So you go through all this training again, but at like a much higher level with really advanced operators and guys who had been on multiple deployments.
Because you go into
And then
advanced training, right? After you go
it's
into advanced
called,
training after, or
well, after BUDS, you have SEAL qualifying training, and
right?
that's a lot more advanced for sure. And it's almost like a mini workup, like it's called a workup or platoon, like what you train before you go on deployment. So SQT is almost like a mini workup right there, but it's just all SQT students. Then you do like something similar. You do land warfare. You do your kill house training, close quarters combat. You'll do combatives. You'll do an air week where you're just like skydiving nonstop. You'll do combat diver, um, all this cold weather training, maritime operations, all these different things, and then and you do pro dev before that, which is the individual school, sniper, breacher, all these different things. So it's like the individual schools. Then you have your training with your platoon. Then your platoon will do some like field training exercises where they'll do kind of practice missions with, you know, possibly Green Berets or special boat teams, or um, the helo unit you might be working with overseas, and you kind of get some familiarity with the units you're going to be working with on missions you could potentially be doing over there. And so did that, and then went to Iraq for my first deployment, and then came back, did got to do sniper and breacher and Hearst Castmaster. Then had a mission working with the Secret Service um, as like an extra layer of security for like a month in Hawaii when Obama was over there for
How was
the
that? How was that
was it
aspect?
the APEC? That was
So you
really
were you were
cool.
su- you were
So
supporting the
really
Secret
we
Service then,
had,
right?
yeah. So we did, it was a lot of planning. So we'd work with them, be like an extra layer of security. So if something, really bad went down, the Secret Service could focus on protecting Obama, and we would go and be like the assault force that would go take out the threat. So we'd be hanging out, in hotel rooms kind of close by to where he would be, just like, dressed if anything crazy happened. It was pretty funny. I had a pretty funny thing happen where, and we're just dressed as like civilians. So we're going into one of the hotels that's nearby, and I have this giant roller bag filled with maybe like 14 M4s, bunch of like shotguns, all this stuff, and I'm just carting it through. And Secret Service guy comes by who didn't know who we were, and he's like, "Oh, I gotta check your bag." I'm like, "Oh, really?" I'm like, "You realize we have like 14 machine guns in here?" And he's like, "Oh, who are you?" I'm like, "Oh, we're the Navy SEALs." He's like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't know that." It kind of felt like, that scene in The Matrix where they they take that bag and they put it through that X-ray machine, and they're like,
Yeah.
and then they just grab it on the other side and start like, it kind of reminded me of like that scene where you're just looking normal and you got this giant bag filled with all these machine guns. I'm like, we literally have, what do you got to check it for? We literally have 14 machine guns in there.
Yeah. You know,
But
you know what you're gonna
that
find in
was
there, right? But
it was
yeah,
pretty funny. He's like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't know." I'm like, "Oh, it's all good." And
yeah.
then that was great too because we got to have a lot of fun in Hawaii as well. It was really just like 4 like serious days of work, and then a lot of planning and stuff. But got to have a good time too, and had my birthday there, so it was
Oh,
definitely a
nice.
good time. Got to go check out the North Shore and go like free diving and swimming all around. Yeah, it was beautiful times. Paddle boarding.
And so you went to you had two deployments, is that correct?
Yeah, so then came back. Yeah, did do individual schools again. Um, and then my did another workup, and then went like all around the Middle East, mainly the UAE for that one, and we're part of the crisis response element. If like something crazy happened with pirates or like a hostage situation, we were like basically on call. But ended up being a pretty quiet deployment, and that's where we're training a lot though. I ended up We're doing a hostage rescue training mission where I was fast roping onto a roof, and just had a hard landing. Didn't notice anything at the time. Went through, cleared the house, did all the stuff, and then went back home. And when I woke up the next day, I had like burst my disc basically, and my it was like crushing the nerves that work your L5, my L5S1, so my foot would just slap everywhere I went, and it I ended up, yeah, my foot wasn't working. I ended up having to fly to Germany and having a spinal like decompression surgery, and they do a microdiscectomy, and so I, yeah, flew back and did rehab for a while, and then became an instructor after that, teaching combatives and prisoner handling.
And okay, and so you kind of do the instructing and whatnot, and you basically decommission out of the military. Is that correct? Or
Yeah,
or
well,
transition
I
out, I
instructed
guess.
for a while. Yeah, I wasn't planning on transitioning out when I first started there. I My back was feeling great in the beginning, and then I was training with guys who fight in UFC. I was training with like Brian Ortega, and then I was training at the Arena MMA. Everything was feeling great. They told me it'd be 100% recovery, but then just started re-injuring it more and more. The first time it would happen, like maybe after 3 months, and then my back was like hurt, and I'd be like walking around like an old man for 2 weeks, and then would feel better. Then would re-injure it again, and maybe it would be good for like 6 weeks. Then it would be like start getting hurt every month. Then it started getting hurt like every 2 weeks, and kind of realized I was doing a lot less too. I wasn't, I was stepping out of the training we'd be doing a lot. I would just, as an instructor, you can kind of pick and choose what you're going to do. And so kind of realized I wouldn't be able to go back to a SEAL platoon. So I did the Honor Foundation, which helps like SEALs and special operators transition to the private sector. And yeah, did that. We did a field trip to Silicon Valley. I got to see all the different tech firms and everything, and I'd gone to Brazil and saw Sungas down there and realized I wanted to make like a Sunga company because everyone was always asking me about them, and so I was like, oh, I need a launch my own company now, and and so I did that, and it was kind of perfect. The last year, as I was like growing the company, I I was still instructing and doing all that. So it's kind of pretty cool doing both of these.
So you kind of get out, and I don't know if I read this correctly, but you kind of traveled, and I guess maybe you're kind of already starting the company at this point. But I'd read you kind of traveled the world
Yep.
for like a year, right? And so how was that experience, and how did that kind of transition
Yeah.
into starting Sunga Life?
Yeah. So I founded the company in like July 16, and then by I got out in July 17, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna, you know, me and Kyle Maynard were traveling the world together, and we're gonna create content while traveling to, kind of promote the company and everything. And I'd wanted to travel the whole world anyway, and so I realized it was kind of the perfect time to do that, almost like a little gap year, and so yeah, just did went all around the world, went to probably 20 plus countries that year. We Kyle was speaking in Japan, so they flew us out, and did that. Then they were like, "Oh, we don't want to go back to California," so then they flew us to Barcelona. Um, then we went to Croatia, sailed around Croatia with a bunch of friends at Croatia Yacht Week. Then we went to Israel with the with Ron Shapiro and his family, like Eric Mangini and Mark Shapiro and all their kids, helping out the Peace Players Foundation, which takes Arab and Israeli kids and puts them on the same basketball team, and they become best friends through athletics.
Nice,
Um,
that's really cool.
went to Greece. Yeah, went to Greece. Went to the UK. Came back. Went all around the U.S. Went did some stuff with David Vabora and the Adaptive Training Foundation out of Dallas, Texas. Taught Me and Kyle taught an adaptive combative seminar. So we're like, all right, if you have arms, this is how you do like jujitsu. If you don't have arms, you do it like this. You stab choke the person, and uh, Kyle's kind of got that one perfected. We're like, all right, this is how effective this is. We had a 200-pound like intern get on Kyle's back and try to put him in a choke, and Kyle like spun around, was on top of him, like choking this guy. And Kyle doesn't have arms or legs, and Kyle
Right.
was out of the choke and dominating this guy, and then finished with a stab choke where he takes his elbow and like has the guy pinned so he can't move, and then crushes through his trachea with his elbow. And it's like you can take an advantage of not having arms and make these new like submissions, and so it kind of showed how powerful jujitsu can be, and
Right.
did like spoke on some panels there, and then we went to Australia, climbed the highest mountain in Australia together, then took him to the Great Barrier Reef, and Kyle, he doesn't have legs, so he couldn't really um, dive with fins, but we just had another dive instructor with him, and me and the guy just swam Kyle around. I was just holding Kyle's tank, and got some really cool content swimming around the whole Great Barrier Reef. I did like 10 scuba dives there, some night dives and everything, and yeah, just had a blast. I went to New Zealand, Hawaii. Um, yeah, great. Great. Then I started working for like a crypto billionaire. Started flying around with him, going to like Puerto Rico and different crypto events. Then started my. Actually, I went to Normandy. Did for the anniversary of D-Day. Me and
Mhm.
Chris Cassidy and his big group Kaj. We walked from Omaha Beach, picked up like 60 pounds of sand, put it in a rucksack, and then we walked 26 miles to St. Lo, which was the last Nazi stronghold. Celebrated like the liberation of France
How
once we
cool is
got
that?
there, and yeah, became good friends with Chris. He was like the chief astronaut at NASA, and he was the second Navy SEAL astronaut as well. He was commander of the space station a few times. Amazing guy. It's cool hearing, we'd be sharing stories. I'd be telling him about Croatia Yacht Week. He was telling me about missions on the space station. So some really
Yeah,
cool stuff. Um,
that's awesome.
and yeah, all these really, really epic times. I started my MBA at UCLA. Started kind of building my team with other MBA students and stuff. Brought it through the entrepreneurship pipeline. UCLA had some really incredible resources. Got to do a lot of cool stuff living in LA. I was on Mike Tyson's podcast, kind of became friends with him.
Yeah, I seen that.
Was on, oh nice, was on with Rob Dyrdek recently. Had a good talk with him. I was on with Kai Green, who's like Mr. Universe and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Really cool guy. Um, so LA definitely had some, really unique opportunities that you can really only have there. It was a great place for swimwear and one of the top MBA programs too. Definitely, especially for entrepreneurship. So, um, yeah, loved going to Anderson and everything. But Florida was calling my name again, especially with the way things have been going with COVID. And, California is getting a little crazy with their restrictions and locking down businesses. And I think
Right.
people can really see that, lockdowns don't help anything. Being anti-business, going everywhere in a mask doesn't help anything. And so I was ready to get out, go to Florida, the land of the free, and was doing all these missions with the Force Blue team already. And so it was kind of perfect that I'd be based right there. It'd be easy to go around. Did our whole coastal conservation tour where it was either dive cleanups, rebuilding coral reef, saving sea turtles, and doing it with a bunch of my best friends while wearing Sunga Life and creating cool content for that. Um, Doing things with the Hudson Seal Swim, shooting up to New York, doing
Yeah.
that swim, raising money for homeless veterans in New York City with everyone wearing Sunga Life. I sponsored those events and got featured on Fox and Friends with
Yeah,
those
I seen you
stories.
guys. You guys were on
Pete Heggs,
Fox and Friends. Yeah, with Pete.
yeah, yeah, had a really good time swimming with Pete, teaching him how to swim with fins and everything. It's another animal getting your legs conditioned for all that.
Yeah.
And yeah, Pete was an awesome guy. No training at all. He's like, I'm jumping in with the seals and swimming 3.5 miles. So major props to him for doing that. Very brave. And then yeah, lots of missions with that Adaptive Training Foundation. Since then, I've gone onto the board. Dave Vabor asked me to join the board and everything. I did that recently. Been going there lots of times. I'm gonna be going there. They have an all military class that'll be going through in March. So we'll have all the instructors and military athletes wearing Sunga Life while they're doing their training. And then after doing, it's like a 9-week program where they're all get really strong and fit again. They do a deployment to the mountains. It's called Military to the Mountains. It's going to be at Granby Ranch, and everyone's going to be wearing some Sunga Life silkies while doing that spring skiing in the mountains there. So that's going to be
That's
pretty
pretty
epic
cool.
as well, and get to
So
leverage my skiing background for that.
yeah, so let's kind of talk just as we kind of end here. Let's talk about Sunga Life, and you kind of talked about how why you started it and who you started with Kyle and everything. And so what's kind of the background? What's kind of the mission of Sunga Life? What's it all about? And what do you guys kind of got going on right now with Sunga Life?
Yeah, so I made the company after going to Brazil with the Gracie family who created Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and UFC. I had gone to Brazil with them a bunch of times, saw everyone wearing sungas. I thought they were awesome. I bought a bunch and started wearing them all over the world. And everyone was asking me, where can I get these? Where can I get these? I'm like, oh, pretty much only in Brazil. And then I'd always been drawn to entrepreneurship and wanted to make my own company after seeing my cousins build successful companies. But I didn't know what product I wanted to make until until I found the Sungas, and people were saying, "Oh, you're living the Sunga life," and I'm like, "Oh, you know what? Everyone needs to live the Sunga life or have a chance to." And so made the company, and it's really like the swimwear and athleisure brand that's about freedom and courage and continuing to serve. It was Thucydides said, the secret to happiness is freedom, and the secret to freedom is courage. A lot of people don't realize like these things are all encompassing. Growing up in the US, a lot of people don't realize like how good and perfect we have it. And if you're not willing to like have the courage to fight for that freedom, then you're not going to have like any happiness. And it's a slippery slope. You start to have your rights taken away, and if you don't fight for it and stop it right there, then your whole country can be taken over and everyone can lose everything. We saw it happen. It was, um, when was it? I mean, it, what was it? 75 years ago? Yeah, I guess it was like 76 years ago, I believe, that, was the anniversary of D-Day. And people like they don't even like realize all of nearly continental Europe was like taken over by Nazis. It's almost like this mythical thing now. Nazis, everyone's a Nazi. You don't agree with people
Yeah.
almost say, but it's like real Nazis controlled almost all of Europe like 76 years ago, and it's not that long ago. And if people like, it was France was taken over in 2 days. All of France
Yeah.
was taken over in 2 days, and it's it's a scary and like crazy thought, and that could happen. That could absolutely happen again. And if you aren't willing to fight for it, if you don't have the courage to fight for it, like, and especially now with technology, that it would be harder than ever to win that back. So um, so that's what it stands for. It stands for freedom and courage and continuing to serve. And I try to partner with as many amazing foundations that I can to continue to promote that. People, there's a lot of amazing promotions out there. Wake for Warriors asked me to go out last March. I was wake surfing with them in Miami, like Miami Bay. Just had the best time ever.
Oh,
And I'm
cool.
like, that's it. I'm moving to Florida. And then, with Adaptive Training Foundation, Honor Foundation, I did the Honor Foundation swim. We started in, they had seen Jason Rivers had done Hudson Swim, was like, I got to bring this out to California, do one with the Honor Foundation. I went out, got everybody dressed in Sunga Life for it. Swam from Coronado to the USS Midway, 3.5 miles. Did a tribute workout on USS Midway, which is like, such a historic site. Had fought in World War II, fought in Vietnam, and so it's cool doing a workout there, honoring our fallen brothers on that. And so I just try to, every time I get an invite or to do something that promotes freedom and honors the brotherhood, I try to say yes.
A- And you guys also give a portion back to, right, the sales from Sunga Life to different organizations,
Yep.
correct? And
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
what are some of the organizations you guys give back to? I
Yeah.
mean, kind
Adaptive
of mentioned
Training
some of them.
Foundation, Force Blue Team are like the main ones. Hudson Seal Swim donate a lot of shorts and all that to everyone. So
So, for
yeah.
people listening right now that are, interested in Sunga Life, what are some of the products you offer? Obviously, the Sunga, and I know you guys offer different bathing suits for women as well. So what are some of the things that people can kind of look for and look to buy?
Yeah, so it started with all swimwear at first, and then it really has moved much more into athleisure now. So the silkies are like our best-selling product, and the pocket silkies. So they're kind of the workout shorts that Marines or the Army wears. The Army calls them Ranger panties, and but kind of made, they're typically green or black. But then I took all my custom prints, made them out of lycra, so it's a much higher quality material, super comfortable. People can't like believe it when they feel how comfortable they are and sublimated. And then I made the first like pocket silkies, which the silkies are amazing, but they didn't have pockets, so that could be a downside. And so I made these pocket silkies where they just have a custom liner, like a patriotic liner on camo on the outside, the liner's on the inside, and it's got a little spot that your phone or wallet can slide into. And I made like some women silkies as well, which are a little more form fitting. And silkies were traditionally more of a unisex product, but these are like made specifically for women and had a cheeky liner, so it wouldn't make panty lines and stuff. And made board shorts, which are really just shorts that you can wear, four-way stretch. You can wear them for anything or camo. I created my own camo patterns, put little like a trident, like Poseidon's trident in there. So it would call it the Naked Warrior camo, and it honors the um, original frogmen that cleared the beaches in Normandy and Iwo Jima. And and that's what, like, when I made my first camo pattern in before the summer of 2019, I started selling out of them nonstop. I'm like, okay, people really like my camo, and so now I have like six different camo colors. I even have the Second Amendment ones, which have the Second Amendment on the inside, and then they have like a different, like gray and white camos with a bunch of guns and M4s and pistols on them and stuff. So that's been pretty cool. But my board shorts are just crazy comfortable too. You can wear them anywhere. It's pretty much what I wear every day, living in Miami, and yeah. So everyone loves them. When people get them, they're like they throw out all their other shorts. It's kind of funny. They write me. They're like, I cannot believe like the quality of these, how comfortable they are, and they end up um, it's funny. A lot of times I'll see like huge orders come in, and I'm like, oh, where does customer come from? And they just bought something a week earlier and received it, and they're like, and just like loved it, and then they buy like a ton more right after that. I'm like, pretty cool.
Yeah, good gift for your friends too, guys. So if you're listening,
Definitely,
go pick
definitely.
them up.
Everything's at sungalife.com, and you can check us out on Instagram too at sunga.life, sunga.life. And
And to kind of before we end here, is there any what do you guys kind of have coming up? What are some future goals you guys have for the company? And are there any things kind of in the process right now you guys are kind of doing?
yeah, just more like cool events. We're trying to just continue to build the community. We want to start having events where people, I go out and they do these things, but I want to be able to market them a little better so people who live in the area can come out and be a part of it, and meet me and meet everybody doing the event that's going on, and potentially be a part of it. That's kind of like a big thing we want to do. And um, and then I have some other kind of projects I'm about to be launching in the near future as well. I think we're kind of keeping them a little confidential for now, but in the next maybe couple weeks we're gonna be launching these things, and it's with some really like cool guys, some of the biggest like American heroes this from like the last 20 years. So it's gonna be pretty exciting when we launch this stuff.
Yeah, so check that out, guys, on sungalife.com or Instagram at Sungalife. And the last couple of segments before we end here, obviously, you've had a lot of success in the military, in education, and obviously in business. So, what are some pieces of advice you would give to maybe it's young entrepreneurs, kind of just entering into business, or maybe someone that's trying to go into business, whatever that is, right? What are some a basic piece of advice you've kind of learned you would tell them?
The name of the game is delayed gratification. If you can, like, you don't want to just, you don't want to go out, party tonight, whatever. If you can put that off to just work and like grind and get through some things, and I'm not saying, don't enjoy yourself at all, but limit it to just being able to, like, all my success has been due to delayed gratification, especially as I, you know, went through SEAL training and back to back to back, like, you know, classes before I finally made it. And, a lot of times things can seem like a really long time when you're 20 years old. A few months can seem like an eternity sometimes, but it's like such a small part of your life. And if you can grind and do whatever you can to like accomplish some small goals, and they continue to build and build and build, and then it's like, accomplishing your goals are just become natural, and you end up getting better and better and better at it. And um and then, like, it's funny the way things can start to happen. It's like, man, I kind of wrote goals for 2022, and certain things, they weren't necessarily goals at even at the time, but because it's also like when you're on the right path, like doors will open where there was previously walls, and you start to hit like a tipping point where I'm like a really big kind of extrovert as well. So I meet people all over the place and the world and everything, and I'm really good at connecting people as well. Um, that can add value to each other, and you kind of start to hit a tipping point where things just continue to fall into place. And I, in the like 2 months ago, Men's Health reached out to me, and it was kind of something I was, yeah, I'd love to be in Men's Health, and they ended up reaching out to me to do like an article on like advice, like five life tips from a Navy SEAL. And I'm like, damn, that's pretty cool. And it wasn't necessarily a goal to do an article like that, but it's like, all right, that's something I can kind of put on there. Do a podcast with Mike Tyson, um, all these things. But it's like you
Yeah.
just keep working on bettering yourself like constantly. And I mean, even there was times doing my MBA where I had to just like study for like days at a time to be like ready for these. For I was on the quarter, they have quarters there, so it's like every 5 weeks I had like two midterms and like two finals, and it was like a grind to be like just cramming for these things all the time for basically three years, because I did the fully employed MBA because I was also running my company at the same time, and then doing all these accelerators at the same time, which don't get me more credit, but it was just good. It was good for my company, and I was able to take just everything I learned from doing my MBA and apply it back to my business. And so you just keep finding things to like make yourself better. Keep, don't like network and call it networking where you're like, oh, I'm going networking, I want to. But if you just do it naturally, where you want to meet like other cool people or people doing great stuff, and then can add value to them and connect new friends that you meet with other friends who are doing great stuff, and help support them. And um, and then things will just start to fall more into place over and over, and that's what is really like happening lately.
I appreciate that advice, and anyone listening also, could take so much from you. Just being having success in both business and the military. The last segment, Jeff, is the Freedom Fighter of the Week. So this is someone who has been influential in your life and helping you get to where you're at today. And it could be more than one people, or more than one person. But who's your Freedom Fighter of the Week?
I'm gonna say my buddy Mitch Aguiar is a freedom fighter of the week. He is, he's gotten zucked a few times. He had like 370,000 followers on Instagram, but he kind of stood up for some things he really believes in that are important to our freedom and our democracy. And and then he got that one taken away. He made a new one, Mitch Aguiar 2. Then he was up to like 70,000 followers, and then that one got taken away. He made Mitch Aguiar 3. Then he got his like ability to be tagged or tag people or whatever. And then so now he's on his fourth account. But he keeps and he that's like a huge thing for his company. He has a really successful supplement company, and he didn't do real like digital marketing. He would just promote it through like Instagram. So it was his main thing. He put it all on the line to like stand up for what he believes in, and going against censorship and everything. But he stood up for that, keeps fighting, and he's on his fourth account. But another amazing guy. He's got an incredible foundation as well called Adopt a Cop BJJ. So he trains jujitsu. So he trains cops all over the country. He has like over 500 affiliate gyms that a policeman can go and train at for free, and he's basically paid for it with his own money, with profits from his company. He's gotten a decent amount of donations too, but trains all these cops to the level of blue belt. And then when a cop has that, they can control someone so much easier. If the person tries to fight them, they don't have to go to their gun. They have like way better body control. It's almost like jujitsu is almost like a superpower. It's unbelievable. And when people get it and are trained to a certain level, So he makes it safer for the people being arrested. If he makes it safer for the police to be able to, um, not get taken down and killed. So really love the work that he does, and he's a huge patriot. He was a Navy SEAL. We went through SEAL training together. We weren't really friends at the time. He was like 18 then. I was 23. We were kind of in different friend groups. Then he went to the East Coast and I went to the West Coast. But then we kind of reunited when we were both instructors. He was combatives on the East Coast. I was on the West Coast. And then we just had a lot in common with martial arts and be starting our own companies around the same time and just do tons of work together now and everything. So he's amazing guy. I have to put
Yeah.
it out to him.
Awesome. Well, thanks. I follow Mitch as well. So thanks, Mitch, for
Oh,
everything
awesome.
he's doing as well. And yeah, it's unfortunate, just how the algorithms work with Instagram, and not just Instagram, but all the social media platforms. And it's kind of it's unfortunate, if you don't agree with what they believe in, or if you're not open minded to the way they're open minded, all of a sudden you're in the wrong, which is unfortunate. And hopefully those types of freedoms and those types of things can be fixed, and we could kind of make some progress on it. Because right now I see so many people being taken down and censored in ridiculous ways. It's really unfortunate.
Yeah, it's one of the projects I'm working on as well to have another option for that too.
Well, I appreciate all the work you're doing, and thanks, Jeff, for just taking the valuable time. I know you're with your family right now, and it's we're grateful and just honored and humbled to have your time on the show. And hopefully, we could just do a small part to get Sunga Life and your message to a new audience here in California. And we're based in Central California, but we kind of, we're in different places as well here. So, but if we could just do a small little part, we appreciate you and your service, and everything you do. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Blaine. I appreciate you having me on, and it was great to really meet you and talk with you for a while. I appreciate what you're doing to keep promoting freedom first and everything.
Yeah, I appreciate it.